welcome brothers, welcome sisters, welcome to our program On Target. Usually, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any issue trending, any topical issue. But most important, you can introduce your own topic and you can interrupt us. The number to call is 442-0175. Remember, we are on 91.9. We are on YouTube and Facebook. And we always encourage you to share. Like, share, and subscribe to RealFM. It's very important for the program if you subscribe to the station and you share the program among your friends. Today is another interesting day in our country, in the nation. You always have issues to speak about. The Catholics would consider today as a day of prayer for the legal protection of the unborn children. January 23rd. It's really January 22nd, but anytime that day falls on a Sunday, the Catholics would celebrate the 23rd. It's in some other areas, it's a national day of prayer for the legal protection of the unborn child. Maybe we need to have some discussion on that. You have pro-life. As a result of that, you have people who consider themselves as pro-life, anti-abortionists. They're against abortion. And you have people who consider themselves as pro-choice. They believe that a woman have a right over her body and she could do what she wants with her body and she could abort her child anytime. Whether it is at the stage of conception or whether it is 9 months, she could abort the child. So you have people in the world who support pro-choice. And you have a number of people in the world, particularly led by the Catholic Church, who is against abortion, anti-abortionists. And they're against euthanasia. That is what some people might call mercy killing. They believe that at a certain stage, somebody is alive, but they believe it don't make sense. So they euthanize them. They put them to sleep. They give them injection for them to sleep. They help them commit suicide. And the church is fundamentally against that. And they will bring a number of quotations and reasons from the Bible. Remember, Jesus Christ said, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctify you." I think it's Ronald Reagan that said, "I have noticed that everyone who is supportive of abortion is already born." Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre. I trust you have had a good weekend. On this 49th year of our independence, I'm trying to be a little independent. I'm seeking to make my own coconut oil. And at this juncture, I would be grateful if you could help me with a little information as to how much it would cost to grind a pound of coconuts. There is a gentleman in Paradise with the machine that grinds coconut and corn and spices. If anybody out there know how much it costs, I'll be grateful if I can find this information through your medium. Have a great afternoon and thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I like how you put it in this year, 49 years of independence. And the sister wants to make her own coconut oil. And she wants to know what is the cost to grind it. And I know there are one or two people who have grinders. I even noticed one in the Republic of Bel Air. Somebody had a sign up that they grind. So if you hear us, please give us a call and inform us about that situation. How much it costs to grind a pound of coconut or what is method that they use. And this is, Grenada is approaching independence. You have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it's 50 cents a pound.
50 cents a
Grind the
pound.
coconut, yes.
All right. And that is in Paradise?
Yes.
Okay. So, sister, you have the answer immediately. It's 50 cents a pound, and it is in Paradise. Yeah? So, that's the issue. 50 cents a pound, and you can get it in Paradise. And it's good to encourage people to use local as much as possible. It's good to use local, but we are not. Again, when somebody say you're independent, it doesn't mean that you don't depend on anybody. You know, the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world today, the country with the biggest economy, they still need people. You need solidarity. None of us live in a vacuum. So it doesn't mean that Grenada have to be use all what is produced, because you need you have trading between countries, and there are some things you must buy, and you cannot provide all that you need for yourself. But it's always good if we consume more of the things we produce. This thing has been around us long, you know. Forbes Burnham once said, eat what you grow and grow what you eat. But during that time, he didn't get the kind of support from the Caribbean leaders and from the university. And he was experimenting then with cooperative socialism. So he did not get the kind of support. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, your radio making some noise, so you have to remember when you call us, you have to turn off your radio. It really ring in our ears. So try again, caller. Cut down the radio or the whatever song you have. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon,
Yes.
Mr. Pierre.
Thank
How are
you.
you?
Great.
Yes. Yes. Mr. Pierre, I personally speaking, I want to I'm calling upon the former Minister of Social Services, the Honorable Delma Thomas, and the present Minister of Social Services, Senator the Honorable Gloria Thomas, to come out and make a statement concerning the money that's been, removed from the Senior People's Seed Program, the beneficiaries, that money been cut off. I heard her in the Honorable, both of them, the 2022 budget presentation and the 23 presentation by Senator Gloria Thomas, saying that they will not remove the money. So I am calling on those ladies who collaborating to come out and speak of that issue, because there are a lot of people in St. Andrews North, West, and Grenada being affected. And if by so, I may advise for them to call on the government to reinstate that $150. Thank you, Mr. Pierre.
Well, yes, caller, I agree with you, but you have put it very lightly. I consider it as robbery with violence. I see it as a moral crime. I consider it as gross insensitivity to the elderly. And I believe we have crossed a red line in Grenada. I believe the time is to demand that the government give back the people the money they stole from them. The government put their hand in the cookie jar. The government must return the money to the elderly. The government stole the money from the people. The National Democratic Congress in 2008, they campaigned on a platform of raising that money to the elderly to $400. The National Democratic Congress used an old person, an elderly person, to advertise that. 16 years after, the NNP put that which they said they was going to put in 2008, and they remove it. I think it's an abomination. It's a cardinal sin. I believe every member of the NNP, that should be a red line for them. You see, I say these things because in 1951, when Eric Gary come on the scene, yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, good day.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Hope you had a good week.
Yes, man, it was good.
Pierre, concerning the same thing, man. People rejoicing over people lose money, man, and making an excuse for that, man. Okay, the thing, what really I concern about. The $2,000 they take, they don't need that. You gotta get over $5,000-6,000 already for the month. People are going to get like $200. You take $100 per person, and you take $2,000 for yourself. I would like them to return back the $2,000 because they say the situation tight and the cash cannot hard. Give back the $2,000 they take because they already have a salary collecting already. Give back the $2,000. I was talking to one and see from see me for election and didn't see him. He used to argue, when he came back, he came and look for me and to give me talk. I said, well, but you all do them people that for all, just promise everybody permanent and all just permanent. He said, man, permanent, man, making all the efforts and I'm going, making all them efforts go. When he said, and he's a man, tough activist for the party, I said, nah, boy. So that means I think they're discussing, the man said, making all the efforts go, Yeah, he said, making all them efforts go. So, Pierre, you take care of listening.
Yes, caller, I think this is a red line that has been drawn. And I want to make a suggestion. If the NDC government is advancing the view that they have cash flow problem, that is why they have to turn and scavenge and take the coins from the eyes of the elderly, I'm suggesting how they should do it. The NDC on the 49th year of independence, they have supposed to have a trip in the United States of America. And nothing is wrong with that, I think, talking about independence. Instead of sending 3 people, send one. The NDC has been traveling from the time they win election as if they are a hostess. Now they need to be conservative and seriously reduce the traveling. The water on the ground is that when they go away, some of them spouse going with them and some of them boyfriend going with them. Well, I never hear any pilot bring his wife on the plane with him when he going. Or any air hostess bring she man or she boyfriend. They have to understand that is a job they're doing. So if your boyfriend or your spouse gonna get tabanka, maybe you should not be in politics. But the red line has been drawn. You see, the worst thing in a country is when we turn on the elderly. And Grenada has been doing that for the longest while. Over the last 6-7 years, they speed up the process. You hear all sorts of negative issues about the elderly. Government built 10,000 toilets or plan to build or whatever. I don't know what stage how much they accomplished. For people who did not have toilet, I was shocked. I was amazed at some of the negative comments that came principally from the radical NDC. They was condemning the fact that these people receive toilet inside, they call it handout. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, caller, welcome.
When I listen some of these Grenadians people and them, it's like them a make up crucified Christ, I listen some of them. Listen on Shaggy Station on Morning Time. Government, the ex-prime minister never tell Grenadians people he give them a money for 1 year. He have the stimulus package and he have the how they call it, money for the seed program. The stimulus package is for 1 year. And if ever Kit Mitchell was there, he would not still move it because he realized everybody feel comfortable. Why we Grenadians only just, we have to get up and get, we don't handicap, go and get a work to do. Not in Grenada alone, people giving money, giving the airline, You go all about it, every different country, Why these Grenadians people and them looking for only for Well, listen, some of us, I don't know if the Prime Minister minding them and he must mind somebody else. I don't know if it's so they're telling themselves. But it's not mine. That is what the people and them work with. They sow the seed for us. And what we get in, we don't have to feel out what they get in. That is what they sow. And it is a little package change if you go to the shop with it. But thank God for what they get in. I don't see where they're talking about the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, they put it there for 1 year. They don't understand. I tell Grenadians people, if they can read, spell, if they can spell, ask question. Stop sharing these rumors. We have to stop this thing on them. How we could to divide ourselves in this kind of thing on them? I'm finding it real difficult with some of us inside this country here. Grenadian people don't look to like sorry for their own parents what make them. Because I'm sure some of them parents getting it. And I don't know why they have to say what they say in there. I listen to these people and them on the program on morning time. And it's like they don't have a love in them, they don't have heart in them. I don't know what kind of people that are them is. These people are them go like how they take all of them and put them in Hopeville and lock them down.
No. Can't. Yeah. Color, this thing have always been with us in our country. That is why I don't support history in school. Not that I don't support it. I think a lot of people, particularly those children who seem struggling in school, must not waste time studying this history in school. Our people must teach their children their history. Otherwise, we would have known that there are some people in Grenada that always turn on the elderly and the marginalized. When Eric Gary came in 1950-51, he was asking for $1 a day. The British sent 2 battleships in Grenada to quell the struggle. 2 battleships. When the people strike, Gary tell them, go and hunt. He said, don't starve. Go and hunt. Because the plantocracy then decided they wouldn't give them anything. Some of them was thrown out on people's land because they was working on the estate and they took strike action and they was in the barracks. So they decided to make them go. So Gary said, don't starve. Go and hunt. And that is how we end up with Sky Red. The British sent 2 battleships in Grenada. The National Democratic Congress is a true replica of that thinking. Over the years, the moderates in the NDC have been fired or the significance have been diluted. Go back and watch NDC from the time it started. They have gotten rid of the moderates in the party. And this is the pure NDC now. It's a heartless group. And I believe political evil has contaminated the DNA. In 2008, the NDC promised as an election ploy to make the money provided for the elderly to $400. In 2008, they won election. They fired people from the seed program. 5 of them was from Paraclete. And remember, it doesn't talk about man. 5 women from Paraclete. 1 of them, 2 of them is still alive, but 1 is about 98, 99 years. The National Democratic Congress promised to raise the pay of the EME money to $1,000 in 2008. They cut the program and fired more than half of them and changed the name. Now today, the National Democratic Congress all of a sudden is arguing that when it was placed there, it was temporary. Whether it was placed there 1 month before, it must be kept. We must demand that the NDC put back the money they stole from the older people. They steal it with violence. They refuse to give explanation or justification prior, before taking out the money. And people line up in a line and then recognize that they were short paid. And some of them shed tears. A few of them shed tears. But that is the NDC. The NDC become a heartless group. So I am suggesting that the government restrict the amount of ministers they send in, parliamentarians, that they intend to send to America. Send one. That the Prime Minister must go back and function in Mount Royal. He among to sleep there. He could function there and go and sleep where he used to sleep before. But we must not pay rent for him to live in another place while the Prime Minister decides to take the bread that the elderly one have. The Prime Minister must cut short the flying all around the world. We have to recognize the fact that you've been flying all about the place. And this is a cost that you must cut down. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hello, good day, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, what is the NDC motto? The motto is lies. That is the motto. And plus that, Mr. Pierre, let me tell you, Matthew chapter 23 are reading it. All the words in Matthew 23 are reading it on them. Thank you very much.
No political party should behave as the National Democratic Congress is a sad day for a political party in the Caribbean. The NDC promised in 2008 to make it $400. They were not able to do it. They didn't want to do it. In 2023, the National Democratic Congress is cutting down that money. Every politician that worth their salt must condemn that. Every politician that worth their salt must explain it to the public, justify it. The NDC ministers are hiding. I don't know how long they're going to hide for. But they are hiding because they have committed a moral crime. This is robbery with violence. You're robbing the elderly in the country. It's not that they came to power and met a treasury empty. You know. They themselves was the one that broke the news to the community that they have a pregnant treasury. They paid $75 million thereabout to pensioners. And nothing is wrong with that. But if you have serious cash flow, or if you expect serious cash flow, it would have been prudent and better for the government to provide this money in 4 different stages a tranche. 25% could have been paid in cash. 25% in bonds to mature in X years. 25% in bonds to mature in 2-3 years. 25% in bonds to mature in 5 years. The government takes 75 million and they give it to one group of people, and it is highly possible that 60 to 70% of that money would go straight into the bank and it would not be removed. Because if you go back and look at the record, the trend, if you look at the trend in Grenada, Grenadians like to save. Retired people who are retired, they wouldn't go opening no big business because the bank don't borrow people over 60 easy. So what do they put this money in the bank? To buy a car from big like Hilton Hotel or for the children to plunder. So a government have to be sensible. But the National Democratic Congress, over the years, I believe, their DNA has been contaminated with political evil. And the best we could ask is to give back the people their money. Give back the people their money. It is all well and nice to say you like the marginalized, but you must practicalize it and show it. So I call on all the politicians in Grenada that they should disassociate themselves from this act of thieving old people. Because what the National Democratic Congress have done must be in the category of stealing from the elderly. Grenada have the most, I believe that Grenada, based upon the information I have, Grenada have the most home for the aged in the region. And we're talking in relationship to population. Why that should be so? Because Grenada have the most landowners, it is highly likely that a lot of people in the homes have property. If you go and find out from the people in social welfare, the public officers, and the homes, a number of people in homes, and the children or those who are responsible for them are not paying the money that they promise. We had a home that closed down in St. Patrick's, about 16 people dead. One man left the home. I understand some women go and look for him. They never find him. In a small country like Grenada, an elderly person leave a home and he has not been found. We had a number of farmers up to 80 years who cannot go in the land because they have been beaten in the land. We had a gentleman from St. Patrick's here that ended up in hospital for months after receiving wounds from a cutlass in his land. The last time I spoke to him, he told me even the police and all forget him now. So we have been growing very insensitive to the cries of the elderly. For over 7-8 years on the radio, the directors of this modern day NDC have been preaching hate against elderly. I mean, a lot of people listen to this radio. I am amazed. I am shocked when the National Democratic Congress never disassociate themselves from the statement that said choke on old people. And I commented on it years ago that we are growing too insensitive to the elderly. So we have a group of people now that fighting on the elderly. They're denying school children. And every day you listen to some cases that are more, that, is heartbreaking. This gentleman used to sell corn. He was a farmer. He was receiving $450. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good afternoon. Mr. Pierre, when you listen to some people, what they're saying about the treatment the seniors receiving, I concerned to do with the seed. Some of the young people who are supposed to receive the money. When you listen to your remarks, some of we Ghanaian people making, you have to ask yourself a question. If these people, if God create them with a heart, right? If they have any love in them for people, right? I'm saying, as we know, we always see. Sometimes some of who we sit down in our living room and watching what going on into the world, and we condemning what is happening, the way white people treating black people, the way they treating white people. We're saying the worst thing about the treatment white people doing to our black color people. But when you see with the same thing that we condemn, we're doing it, right? For you to rob in from the poor to enlarge the rich. That is that is a big sin. A sin that it could like I look and say you could get forgiveness for robbing. But then but Mr. Pierre, it is very difficult, very hard to digest that. Right? Who need those who need the government to reach out and help them, you're robbing from them. Right? And those who have, you give them more. So you find the gap between the rich and the poor getting wider and wider. And there's some people because they're getting they support a party and they're getting something, they rejoicing, they feel happy. What I always say, who laugh last will laugh is best. I don't reach for anything so to happen to no one. But when something happen to someone say, we should not rejoice. And we calling the greater people and people who really care is about people. I call upon the government to please return back that 150 that is taken away from the senior citizens. The young people who are receiving the seed money, they need it because the majority of the home they are single parents. Some of the home again, they're only the seniors that live by themselves. They have the water bill to pay, light bill to pay, food to buy, and the price of things going up every day. So instead of you taking out from them, you should be added. You should give them more to try to make your life better because one of the NCM policy during the campaign, they say they're going to eradicate poverty, make life better. So I don't see how you could make life better when you say you want to make life better for people, but you give them less money in their hand to spend, while the price of goods going up every day, things getting high. I'm saying one thing I want to let the greater people know. The Ukraine war did not start in 2023. It started in the political government, right? And then NMP put that extra 150 to cushion the cost of living for the great people who really need it. So Mr. We have a blessing.
Yes, and caller, this argument they're speaking about is a non-starter. The National Democratic Congress promised in 2008 to give $400. And in 2016, they are the one that history would recognize remove $150 from it. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, I just wonder, will Deacon Mitchell be inspecting the God of Honor on the 7th of February, celebrating our independence?
Well,
he must know the struggle that we went through to gain independence. He must know also that the poor people that he stole the money from, they know they were the vanguard in preparing the way for independence that he go in and pose off now to say he's celebrating receiving the God of Honor. Oh boy, so hypocritical. You know, I wonder how that chap is going to stand up in front of there and inspecting the God of Honor.
He could do it.
When he do the poor people that get Eric Gary, he doing it still?
Dickney's a fake.
You think he'll do it?
He could do it. He
could
do it with a smile on his face. It's a
that
fake.
That boy could never do that.
Yes, he could do it.
Oh, no.
Dickney's a fake.
Oh, no.
A number of his supporters is coming to realize that Dickney Mitchell is a fake.
Listen, man, I really want to see for myself. I'm not going there, you know. I'm going to watch on TV to see if that boy is going to go there and stand up and inspect the God of Honor for our independence, knowing the struggle that we went through to get independent. And what he has done now to the people who fought for our independence and stood firm behind Eric Gary that we should get independent. I want to see. I really want to see. Thank you, sir.
Yes, these things are fake. And you see, sometimes it's hard for you to stomach it. I know it's not easy for a lot of moderate people in the National Democratic Congress, and a number of people who perhaps start, they're fed up with NNP and they want to change. But Dickens is a fake. From day one, he come in and he tried to resurrect Maurice Bishop's spirit. He's not a socialist. He wants to sell electricity company. He wants to sell marketing board, but he wants to embrace Daniel Ortega. And he wants CBI program. Dickens rich and Dickens is traveling as an excited little child. And his greatest challenge was the amount of picture people wanted him. Dickens dropped the price of condom and he raised the price of sugar. Deacon took out 75 million and give it to a group. And now he going and beg the IMF. Deacon is a fake. The National Democratic Congress do not have a philosophy. They don't have an ideological position. Their position is bitterness, anger, and hate. And obviously, because they believe they have all the academic acumen to consider them as intellectuals, they have very little respect for the elderly. They like Tilaita Data. She wanted to, because I'm speaking about her, because I know she mother personally, she decided to come to see she mother, but the mother had to have a hairdo, a makeover to meet she grandchildren. Until I want to meet your grandchildren. You have some children, by the time they reach secondary school, they don't want to identify with their parents in Grenada. Rampant in the society. You have some individuals who from the country, I am not one who take issue with this country and tongue thing. Because it's country, people are there in St. George's that don't want to come back home. They say them is authentic tongue girl. Your father from Victoria, your mother on the wharf, but you're authentic tongue girl. You have a lot of them. It's not the people from St. George's. It's the people from the country who go down in tongue that don't want to come up. You must ask questions. We must remember Rwanda, the genocide in Rwanda. Personalities on radio facilitated the process. The people always had the differences. Nearly 800,000 people died in 100 days. So we had people in Grenada saying, "Chop pee on old people." And I was surprised when I see on social media the amount of people that was giving thumbs up. Chop pee on old people. How this thing could reach in somebody's head. You heard people saying the church sucking the anus of a political party. The NDC did not disassociate themselves from these statements. So we have a hardline bunch now that don't care one hoot about the elderly. And what they did there is robbery with violence. They stole from the elderly. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
All right, I want to bring it further than that. Because there's a new set of people that dealing with the seed program. If we could get the names of all of them and a picture, put it up on social media. We cannot get the ministers to answer questions. They're the ones that are going to answer questions because they're the ones that put in names and taking off names. So if you could get these, it's a very easy way to go. Thank you very much.
We have to be very careful. You see, the National Democratic Congress, I said before that the budget in December when I reacted to the budget, I said it's a disaster for anybody who working in the lower income group. Once you're making under $3,000 in Grenada, this budget is a disaster. The National Democratic Congress is not seeking your interests. And we have to be very careful about the individuals they put and our attitude towards them. We can't do that. We can't try to shame or go questioning the individuals who are now supervising this program because they come from the same income group. We have to ask William Joseph. William Joseph is one of the intellectuals, and I call his name because he liked to speak on public policies. What is his opinion on it? We have to go after the big guns. We have to go after the organization that claim they're representing the elderly. We have to ask the Bar Association, what is the position? We have to ask the trade union, not the people in the lower income group. That is the intention of the National Democratic Congress. So you go fighting yourself. No. The Congress supports the people in the higher income group. And they're going to play quiet, snake in the grass. They won't say nothing. So they could say it's not them. The same thing was done in the revolution. The Bar Association said nothing. The majority of trade union leaders joined the revolution. Bishop Sidney Charles, when he went to talk to Bishop, Bishop would be waiting, giving him a time and just breaking it. You go to Rome for help. Maurice Bishop lock up the Rastas, pong out some of them toenail and castrate Broku. And the people in the diaspora say that the best leader that passed in Grenada. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Yesterday at the Bob report, Gloria Thomas was on the board report, and she was saying that there was dead people receiving money from the seed. People who went to abroad was receiving money. So the reason why they cut the money is because of all these dead and people who travel receiving money. I think Gloria Thomas needs to go and come again, because I don't know if any dead person from the grave could come to receive money. She was saying all this thing on the report yesterday.
Caller, the National Democratic Congress is trying to make some flimsy excuse.
I think so.
The National Democratic Congress performed robbery with violence.
Yes.
What they did was a cardinal sin. It's a moral crime. And we must hold them responsible. And they must give back the people their money.
The money, exactly.
Otherwise, we who speaking...
NNP people should put up all their faces on social media and make the world know they take the money from them.
No, when you do that, you are practically stripping the very people their destiny.
Okay.
The government been hiding. The Bob report cannot find Dick Mitchell to ask questions, but they could find Delma at will. They could find him at will, but they can't find Dennis Cornwall, 824, to ask him why. So you see how these media have entrapped.
My nephew was doing some work in the road. I think they discontinued the debushing, but because independent come in, he said they take them now to do the debushing. They need to make up their mind.
Caller, we have to be very careful that we don't go after the same group of people who we're trying to protect. The people in this country, I said, there is a clear line of demarcation in this budget. The budget is not for people in the lower income group.
Exactly.
And we have a lot of Grenadians that pretending they're making money.
But how much people saw who is poor paying taxes?
Anytime you're making under $3,000, you're in the lower income group. So with the people we have to ask this question is the ministers and the politicians.
But you can't get them.
Bob report could only get Gloria and Delma. Exactly. He cannot find Dennis Cornwall. No. And this is why people, I can't remember the individual offhand now, Malcolm X. He said the media could make an innocent man guilty and a guilty man innocent.
Bye, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So these individuals, the questions that they should be asking Deacon, we have to appeal to Caribbean leaders, Caribbean journalists. Because it seems as though the NDC and these journalists are one and the same. What the government did was morally wrong. It is politically evil. You steal from the older people because you know they are helpless. There's another guy who lost portions of both of his legs. He was receiving $450. He might be in his early 60s. He also had a caregiver. They removed the caregiver from him. They fired the caregivers. They cut the $450 to $200. But the person who was helping him, she told him she could come back and help him still till they get somebody else. I think one group under Delma, she was able to get 11 of them to continue working. But she had to sacrifice the one in charge. But in the other areas, as far as I know, they have not sent them back. So these elderly people are not getting the assistance. You see, this bunch of NDCs are a radicalized group. They have practically shamed and marginalized the moderates in the party. That's why you're not hearing their voice. And my friend Willie seems to believe that you have to be radicalized to join the last intellectual train for San Fernando. So I believe these are the people we have to ask, what is your opinion on this? Do you support it? You know, it's so much time, sometimes these things happen, and it tells you some of the challenges that we have. This is why Jamaica have all this level of violence. The same attitude, Trinidad, that a number of people in the lower income group has been left out. Government's responsibility and duty and obligation is to the marginalized, not to the businessmen. All a businessman wants is the enabling environment, that he could invest in what he wants to invest, that the taxation system is not overburdening, that the justice system is relatively independent, and you have freedom of the press. That's all a businessman wants, or intellectual. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre?
Yes, caller, welcome.
I call on the Prime Minister to bring up the gas price to $7 and pay the people the money. That's my solution. Make the gas price $7 more than the present $2 and take the money and pay them people. That is my suggestion to the Prime Minister.
Well, it's a good suggestion you have, caller.
Bring it up to $7 more. From $3, make it $7 and give them people they want.
That is a good suggestion.
Okay, brother.
Yeah, the Prime Minister must understand that truth does burn and tears does tear people apart. And the worst thing to mess around with the tears of the elderly. In 2008, the government did the same thing. Now, people thought the government would change, and nothing is wrong with that. I, too, was slightly disappointed. I thought they would have done a little better. But the government seems to become a pure NDC group. When you hear your directors in a political party asking to throw pee on old people, I think this one is so difficult. It's so difficult for me to understand. Perhaps because I'm part of the elderly group. People who have gone before. One parliamentarian tell them, plant your crop, plant your trees, but don't cut down the trees that bearing. And I believe the time has come for all the NNP who claim that they're collaborating with the government. This government seems to be contaminated with political evil. Once you could rob the poor like that. And I don't know how the government is going to get production. When this is your attitude, and if the government political victimization is to that extent, imagine what is going to go on in the ministries. And my deepest fear is the school. When government start to take its impact in the schools, That is one of my deepest fears. Because in 10 to 15 years after, you're going to see an increase in violence. We are sowing the seed for that. Remember, for 4 years, I believe, we didn't have sports. Once because of the industrial action of the teachers and public officers, and next because of COVID-19. So a whole generation of children went to school and they lost the opportunity to be Olympians. Now the government is attacking the children because they deduct the money from the children too. When I say to you, 70% of the children in our schools are living schools without a proper education, and it's not by accident, you know. It's by design. We seem to have a selection system that we don't want much people succeed. The education system we have, we do not want much people succeed. And when you join the NDC with it, they want a few people succeed. That's the challenge we have in Grenada. We will continue to ask for the government to give back the money to the elderly that they rob. And we will continue if by the end of the month, February, the government has not decided to give back that money, we must step up our protests against the government. One way you could help is sharing our program and holding discussion on this issue. That must be the topic in every creek and corner in Grenada. The government of Grenada have decided to rob the elderly. While they give tax break to taxpayers, while they're flying all around the world as if they are a hostess, while they take $2,000 in addition to help buffer their economic situation, they are depriving the money that provided for children and the elderly in school. The government raised the price on sugar, and the government dropped the price on condom. That is the government we have of the day. That is a heartless and insensitive government. That is what we have, and we have to deal with it. The government must expose themselves to the press to answer questions, not only the Bob report alone. And these journalists have to learn that if they continue like that, their significance will be diluted. You don't need to go to university to be a journalist now. You don't need to go to university. You don't need to swallow the grammar book to speak on radio. And this is one of the issues they have to understand. Particularly when you speak in the truth. So these journalists who now consider themselves as it, their significance will be diluted. And we must, in this 49 years of independence, we must continue to prepare to defend the elderly in our society and the marginalized. You don't have to defend intellectuals. You don't have to defend big businessmen. Those who are crying out for us to assist in defending them are the marginalized in our country. The elderly, the challenged, and the children. And I constantly say to people whose children are not succeeding in school, you have to be in the forefront of that struggle. The system is stuck against you. And with the NDC in power, you only expect worse. You only expect worse. And we must not be afraid to discuss it. And I challenge you. Anytime I want to challenge the moderate supporters of the NDC, play devil advocate with the hardliners, they will turn on you and call you traitors. Even when you have a discussion with them, they run away from the facts and the truth, and they try to attack you personally or intimidate you. But I believe that the members of parliament must play their hand. You must tell us clearly whether you support the call that the National Democratic Congress must give back the people the $150. Stop making excuses. Stop telling lies. Just give back the people or expose yourself to the press. Don't hide from the press. You owe the elderly $150. You rob it from them. That's immoral. That's wrong. So we're calling on all of you to give them back. And as I said before, cut the program in the United States, send one minister go. The Prime Minister go and function in Montreal. Government should not have to pay rent for you. And stop flying around the world as if he is a little child. Yes, scholar, well, we come to the end of our program today. Time moves fast. We come to the end of our program and we're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1 for another opportunity to punch.